Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Irish Illustrated from M&T Bank Stadium. And Tim, I think Tim Priester, I believe there's a few opponents at play. Number one might be human nature for Notre Dame, because after that win against Clemson, they have to handle success, and it's not something they did well earlier this season after their wins over North Carolina and Brigham Young heading into Stanford, and really the Marshall game where they succeeded in the Ohio State matchup, but they lost the football game, but everybody was giving them compliments and plaudits. This is now a different situation.
Yeah, you'd like to think that that's a thing of the past, and I think there's a good chance that it is. You know, you play an opponent that's obviously a little bit tricky. You don't see anything like Navy has to offer, and so yeah, they have to gear up. You know, the defense has to gear up. The D line has to gear up for the cut blocks. You know, and I think it's really important. Tim, we talked about this during the week. What approach does Tommy Rees take offensively? I think first and foremost, you want to play with tempo. You want to pick up the pace, because you know Navy is going to slow the pace down, and you don't want to be. You know, you don't want to slow the pace down too, and then you end up getting 6 possessions, and that's not enough. So I would anticipate Notre Dame picks up the pace, just lines up and says, you know, Navy, you're going to have to stop us, and we're going to do it in rapid succession.
Yeah, you can certainly play fast and still run the ball, and I think that's what they will do today as well. Weather not an issue. Remember, we thought at some point during the week there could be a weather issue. It's a beautiful day here in Baltimore. I do think when Notre Dame mixes in the pass, Tim, they might take some deep shots, because throwing deep passes that can be tipped at the line, extending a drive, Notre Dame could extend a drive running at will. I think when they throw, they can take some shots downfield, get the quick strike. But look, score as fast as you want if you're Notre Dame, as long as you get the touchdown drive right. But I just believe that the running game is complemented by deeper throws downfield today than maintaining possession throws like we saw against Clemson.
Yeah, and I think Navy's approach defensively plays to Notre Dame's favor, in that they're not good enough to press at the line of scrimmage and play man-to-man. They've got to play a ton of zone. And as we've said during the week, if you look at film of Navy this week, it is a wide-open pasture back there to throw the football. We know that Drew Pine's capable of doing it. We always go back to North Carolina and BYU, but, you know, the fact of the matter is if you could hit wide open guys in, you can do that now. And I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities. As you say, you want to run the football because that's your bread and butter, but there's going to be gaps in that secondary against zone coverage. And I think Drew Pine can have he hasn't had a good game for about a month. And I think this is a good game to bounce back.
And defensively for the Irish, I think when Navy has beaten Notre Dame, or when Navy has pushed Notre Dame, scored 38 points, scored 39 points in losses, they have hit a deep shot. They have hit a big play downfield, and it's something Notre Dame obviously has to be wary for. I detailed those in our Who and What to Watch preview this morning. But this is about taking away the fullback for Navy. It always has been. And as you said, to pass, you think Navy would have to make a substitution at quarterback a little bit today.
Yeah, they would tip their hand if they bring Maynor in at quarterback. Our line is a small guy. He's going to get bounced around. He's probably going to break a couple runs because he's really, really quick. But, you know, again, we talked about this during the week. 2019, when Navy came in, the number 21 ranked team into Notre Dame Stadium, and we expected a real battle. And you know, you look at that Navy team, they averaged, over the course of the year, they averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Now, I don't want to make this into a statistical analysis per se, but 6.1, they were a prolific running team in 2019. This is going to be the third straight year where they haven't averaged 4 yards per carry. And that's extremely telling with a triple option offense. They are just not equipped to string plays together like they have been in the past. And I expect Notre Dame's deep defensive line to have a pretty good day. Navy's going to break some runs. Their fullback, Fofana's a good running back, but he's not Teach. He's not Eccles. He's not he's a 205 pounder. So I think Notre Dame should have a good day against the run, all things considered, especially since Marcus Freeman kind of has this figured out.
And I'm glad you brought up Fofana. 31 missed tackles forced according to Pro Football Focus. So that's a good effort for a 205-pound
He's a good
fullback
player.
inside.
He's a good player.
I think a few players for Notre Dame fans to watch. Obviously, J.D. Bertrand and Jack Kaiser have faced this a lot. We talked about Xavier Watts had a good game against Navy last year. Marcus Freeman mentioned Nana Sapa-Mensah looked good against Navy last year. Considering the way he's trending, you would assume that he will also play quite a bit today. And then I think Tariq Bracy will earn a start on the corner because he has trained against the Naval Academy offense this will be his 5th year doing it. And he's also Notre Dame's best tackler in that role as well.
Yeah, Notre Dame has a bunch of defensive players that are experienced playing against this, and I think it starts with the brain trust of the defense. It's J.D. Bertrand. If there's anybody that's going to be dialed in to the opposing team's approach offensively, it's going to be him. He'll get guys lined up. So I'm pretty confident again that Notre Dame will do a solid job against the Navy run game. Tim, I think. Red zone, we invariably you come back to red zone. Notre Dame's defense, even in victory last week, we kind of glossed over it because of the win over Clemson, but there were 3 red zone penetrations and another 3 touchdowns. But Navy hasn't been very good at that this year offensively. They're only at 50%. So if Notre Dame could just get 1 or 2 stops in the red zone, which they're unaccustomed to, that'll be big. And then Navy's defense is number 10 in the country against as far as touchdown percentage. In the red zone, so Notre Dame's offense is going to have to be efficient and produce there as well.
I think you just listed every reason why the line is settling around 15 points and 39.5 over/under, because those are certainly things that can help Navy stay in this game and push Notre Dame to the fourth quarter. That is it pregame for Irish Illustrated Instant Analysis. We'll be back postgame with Tim O'Malley and Tim Prister.